Okay, finding the value of the trig function indicated. We're just extending, evaluating a trig function, right? And this says we need to find cosecant. Well, the first thing that I want you to be in the habit of doing is reminding yourself, what is the relationship? What's the ratio of cosecant? Well, cosecant's the inverse of sine. And remember the ratio of sine, it is opposite over hypotenuse. So cosecant, which is the inverse, is the hypotenuse over opposite. So what you need to focus on is, from the viewpoint of the theta, you need these two pieces of information. Okay, so I'm going to get this out of the way, get this out of the way. So notice what I've done. I've highlighted the theta. So from the viewpoint of this theta, somebody's looking at that theta. I do this horribly. This side, the side that's 6 units, is the opposite side. The side that's opposite the right angle is always going to be the hypotenuse. And I don't even care about the adjacent side, so I can even cover that up because we don't need to know the adjacent side. But what we do need to know is, what is the hypotenuse length? So we are going to need the measure of the adjacent side. How do we find the hypotenuse when we know the two other sides? Well, think back to probably even 6th grade, but certainly geometry. How do you find the hypotenuse? Well, Pythagorean theorem. And Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So if this is your a, we're going to square that. Here's your b. We'll square that. So let's see what we did. Another way to think about that is adjacent squared plus opposite squared equals hypotenuse squared. So here we have it. 8 squared plus 6 squared. So that cancels to 64. That cancels to 36. When you add those together, you get 100. Well, once you get 100, you take the square root, because we're not interested in hypotenuse squared. We're interested in hypotenuse. In an algebra, you take both the positive and negative, but because we're talking about length, you only take the positive version. So the hypotenuse now is 10. Well, here's the hypotenuse. Here's the opposite. So the trig ratio, hypotenuse over opposite. That says 10 over 6, but I have 5 over 3. It's because 10 over 6, 10 is the same thing as 2 times 5. 6 is the same thing as 2 times 3. The 2's cancel, so that's just the simplified version. So that is a process of finding a value of a trig function. And if something's missing, if you have a right triangle, you're going to be using Pythagorean theorem to solve. All right, that's it for this one.